Here's something that might surprise you. When a woman senses that you've lost interest, her reaction can be more revealing than anything she's ever said. Many men assume that if a woman likes you, she will act predictably, but that's rarely the case. Women have instincts, emotions, and strategies that kick in the moment they feel a shift in your energy. And understanding this is crucial if you want to navigate relationships with clarity and confidence. Think about it. Attraction isn't just about initial chemistry or physical appeal. It's about emotional dynamics, attention, and perceived value. When you lose interest, even subtly, women notice it. Sometimes immediately. Other times, it builds gradually. And the moment she realizes your attention, desire, or emotional investment has decreased, she reacts in ways that are instinctive, revealing, and often surprising. These reactions aren't just about trying to win you back. They're about assessing her place in your life, testing the boundaries of your interest, and sometimes reevaluating her own behavior. The way she responds tells you a lot about her confidence, emotional awareness, and attachment style. It's a window into how she values you and how she values herself. In this video, we're going to break down what really happens when a woman realizes you've lost interest. We'll explore the subtle signs, emotional cues, and behavioral shifts that reveal her mindset. We'll also discuss how different types of women react. Some pull away, some push harder, and some do a little of both, and why understanding these reactions is essential for any man who wants to communicate effectively and protect his emotional energy. So if you've ever wondered why a woman suddenly changes her tone, her texts, or her behavior when she feels your distance, this video is for you. By the end, you'll have a clear understanding of her instincts and behaviors, and more importantly, you'll know how to read and respond without confusion. Welcome to the channel, guys. Let's dive in and decode how a woman reacts when she realizes you've lost interest. Because seeing these signals clearly can completely change the way you approach dating and relationships. 1. She suddenly pulls away. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, one of the first and most noticeable reactions is that she begins to pull away. It doesn't always happen immediately, but there's usually a shift in her energy and behavior. Suddenly, she might text less, seem distracted during conversations, or avoid initiating plans. This isn't necessarily about punishment. It's about her instinctively testing the new dynamic and protecting herself emotionally. Imagine this. You've been dating someone, and over time your excitement starts to fade. Maybe you're less responsive to her messages, less eager to plan dates, or simply less emotionally invested. She notices these subtle changes, even if you think you're being careful. Her response is natural. She starts giving you space, maybe even stepping back without saying a word. This pulling away serves multiple purposes. First, it's a self-protective mechanism. When she senses disinterest, she instinctively tries to shield herself from emotional disappointment. Second, it's a way to gauge your reaction. By stepping back, she observes whether you'll step up, become more engaged, or continue withdrawing. This moment is crucial because it tells her where she stands in your hierarchy of interest. Another important aspect is that this distance often triggers reflection for both of you. For her, it's a reality check. She has to assess her own value, her priorities, and whether it's worth investing in someone who seems disengaged. For you, her withdrawal highlights the impact of your energy and behavior. Her reaction becomes a mirror, reflecting your level of investment back to you. 2. The flirtation becomes intense. One of the most surprising things men notice when they lose interest is that a woman often ramps up her flirtation. Suddenly, texts become more playful, messages get longer, and she may even try to provoke jealousy. This isn't necessarily manipulation. It's a reaction to a shift she feels in your energy. Women are instinctively tuned to test your level of engagement, and heightened flirtation is one way they do it. When she notices that you're pulling back, her flirtation often serves two purposes. First, it's a way to regain your attention. By increasing her charm, playfulness, or teasing, she's signaling, "I'm still here and I want you to notice me." Second, it's a way to assess your reaction. Does your disinterest persist, or does your energy respond to hers? Essentially, she's testing whether you're still emotionally available and worth pursuing. It's important for men to recognize this pattern because it can be misleading. Many guys interpret the increased flirtation as a sign that she's suddenly more interested or that they've regained control, but in reality, it's often a response to a perceived loss of interest on your side. The underlying dynamic is still about assessing attraction and evaluating emotional investment. Another factor to consider is that flirtation in this context is a signal of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Women often try to read whether the man they're interested in is capable of maintaining boundaries while still engaging. If you respond with cool confidence rather than overreacting or chasing, you demonstrate that your value is not tied to her behavior. And that's a powerful signal in itself. Finally, remember that heightened flirtation is temporary. It's a testing phase. Once she evaluates the situation and determines where she stands, her behavior will settle into a more natural rhythm. The key for men is to observe without overreacting, maintain composure, and be aware of the shift in dynamics. Respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. 3. She questions your value. When a woman senses that you've lost interest, one of the most instinctive reactions is to start questioning your value. This doesn't always happen consciously, but it manifests in subtle behaviors and thoughts. She starts analyzing why you're pulling away, what you see in her, and whether she's doing something to push you away. Essentially, she's assessing her place in your life and trying to understand the shift in your energy. This questioning is natural. Women, like men, evaluate relationships based on perceived investment and attention. If she senses a decrease in your interest, she instinctively asks herself whether she still measures up. Not just in looks or personality, but in how well she fits your lifestyle, expectations, and emotional needs. It's her mind's way of recalibrating the dynamic. Another important point is that this process can lead to a mix of confidence and insecurity. Some women respond by increasing their self-improvement efforts, trying to regain your attention or emphasizing their unique qualities. Others may become more reserved, distant, or even passive-aggressive as they struggle with uncertainty. Either way, her reaction reflects a deep awareness of your disengagement. Men often misinterpret these signals. They see mood changes, shorter responses, or subtle tests of attention and think the woman is playing games. In reality, she's just evaluating the situation and trying to understand where she stands. Recognizing this helps you respond appropriately, not with frustration or defensiveness, but with calm clarity. It's also crucial to note that questioning your value doesn't necessarily mean she's losing interest. It's a mechanism for understanding emotional dynamics and assessing the relationship. Women want to know whether the man they care about still sees them as significant, desirable, and worth his time. How you behave during this period heavily influences her perception. 4. Emotions turn unpredictable. One of the most noticeable changes when a woman realizes you've lost interest is that her emotions can start to feel unpredictable. You might notice sudden mood swings, shifts in enthusiasm, or reactions that seem out of proportion to the situation. This isn't because she's crazy or overreacting. It's her natural response to uncertainty and the perceived change in your investment. When a woman senses a decrease in interest, it can trigger a mix of insecurity, curiosity, and reflection. She may wonder why your energy has shifted, whether something she did caused it, or if she misread the connection. These thoughts influence her behavior, often making it less consistent than before. You might see her go from being warm and engaged one moment to distant or reserved the next. Men often struggle to interpret this unpredictability. It can feel confusing, frustrating, or even like the relationship is deteriorating overnight. But the key is to understand that these emotional fluctuations are usually not personal attacks or attempts to manipulate. They are signals, indicators that she's processing your disinterest and trying to gauge her position in your life. Another reason emotions can become unpredictable is testing. Women will often experiment with different behaviors to see if you respond, engage, or remain steady. This could look like teasing, provocative comments, or sudden displays of independence. Each reaction is a way of assessing whether you still care, whether you're consistent, and how she fits into your emotional landscape. For men, the takeaway is simple: don't overreact. Recognize that emotional unpredictability is a normal response to perceived disinterest. Stay grounded, calm, and consistent. Your stability provides a mirror for her. If you remain composed, it helps her process her feelings more clearly and reduces unnecessary tension. 5. Testing boundaries and attention. When a woman senses you've lost interest, one of the most common reactions is that she begins testing your boundaries and attention. This behavior isn't necessarily manipulative. It's a way for her to understand your level of investment and see whether your disinterest is genuine or temporary. Imagine this. You've gradually become less responsive to her texts and less eager to initiate plans. She starts sending slightly provocative messages, posting things that might catch your eye on social media, or subtly hinting at her availability. She may even bring up topics she knows are important to you, or try to make you jealous by showing interest in other aspects of her life. These actions are her way of observing your reaction. She's seeing if you'll chase, remain detached, or respond with indifference. This testing phase serves two purposes. First, it's about self-assessment. She wants to understand if she's still valued and how your interest, or lack thereof, affects the dynamic. Second, it's about control over her own emotions. By experimenting with your responses, she can gauge how much effort, attention, or engagement you're willing to offer. It's her way of protecting herself emotionally while trying to understand your mindset. Men often misread these behaviors as games or overreactions, but the reality is that women are simply reacting instinctively to a shift in your energy. They are assessing, testing, and recalibrating based on the perceived change. The key for you is to observe without overreacting. Reacting impulsively, chasing, or overcompensating will only reinforce negative patterns, while staying calm and grounded communicates emotional stability and value. Another point to keep in mind: testing isn't permanent. Once she evaluates the situation and determines your true level of interest, her behavior either normalizes or she distances herself further. Understanding this can help you stay composed, interpret her actions correctly, and respond strategically rather than emotionally. 6. She mirrors your energy. One of the most fascinating reactions when a woman realizes you've lost interest is that she begins to mirror your energy. This happens instinctively and is a natural reflection of human behavior. If you pull back, become less available, or show disinterest, she often responds by adjusting her own energy to match yours. This mirroring can be subtle, like shorter messages, or less enthusiasm, or more pronounced, such as creating distance or seeming indifferent. Women are highly attuned to shifts in attention and emotional investment. When your energy changes, she senses it immediately, even if you haven't said anything directly. Mirroring is her way of testing the dynamic, seeing if your disinterest is temporary, assessing how invested she still feels, and recalibrating her own behavior to maintain emotional balance. For men, it's important to understand that this mirroring is rarely intentional. She isn't trying to punish you or play games. It's a natural response to perceived shifts in connection. If you maintain your composure and stay grounded, it can actually work in your favor. It gives you an opportunity to observe her reactions, understand her emotional cues, and determine how she truly responds when you step back. Another key aspect is that mirroring helps women assess the value of a connection. By reflecting your energy, she can gauge whether the emotional investment is balanced or lopsided. If your disinterest is consistent, she may either accept the dynamic and step back or intensify her efforts to regain attention, depending on her personality and emotional needs. For men, recognizing this behavior is empowering. It prevents misinterpretation and overreaction. When you see her mirroring your energy, it's a clear signal of how she is processing the shift and allows you to make conscious decisions about how to proceed. You remain in control of your own energy while observing the emotional cues she's sending. In short, mirroring is a subtle but powerful reaction. It's a reflection of your own energy and a tool for her to measure the dynamic. Understanding this helps you stay calm, interpret signals accurately, and respond with clarity rather than emotion. By observing without overreacting, you gain insight into her mindset and maintain your position in the relationship with confidence and emotional intelligence. 7. Her actions reveal her true intentions. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, the final phase of her reaction often reveals her true intentions. Her words, behavior, and emotional energy begin to show whether she genuinely values the connection or is simply responding to the shift in your attention. Understanding this phase is crucial for men because it separates signals from noise and helps you see the relationship clearly. Some women respond by stepping up, being more attentive, more affectionate, or more present. This can indicate genuine care and investment. Others may pull away entirely or behave inconsistently, which can be a sign that their interest was more conditional, tied to your availability, attention, or perceived value. Observing these actions carefully gives you clarity about her priorities and the real dynamic between you. Here's a point men often overlook. Your reactions play a major role in how this unfolds. If you continue to chase, overcompensate, or show desperation, it can distort her responses and prevent you from seeing her true intentions. Conversely, maintaining composure, staying grounded, and observing without overreacting allows you to see her behavior for what it truly is. This clarity is invaluable because it lets you make informed decisions rather than reacting emotionally. Another important element is self-reflection. When her actions reveal intentions, it's also an opportunity for you to examine your own role. Did you unintentionally create distance? Are you clear about what you want from the relationship? Men often miss this chance to evaluate their own patterns and energy. By reflecting honestly, you can learn from the situation, adjust where needed, and avoid repeating dynamics that lead to confusion or disappointment. Constructive criticism for men here is simple. Don't ignore the signs, don't make excuses, and don't allow ego to cloud judgment. Observe, reflect, and act consciously. When you understand her true intentions, you not only protect your emotional energy, but you also elevate your standards for relationships. You stop investing in uncertainty and start engaging in connections that are genuine and reciprocal. Here's a controversial truth. When a woman senses you've lost interest, her reactions often reveal more about her than anything she's ever said. She will test, mirror, pull away, flirt, and question, all in an attempt to understand her place in your life. And if you misinterpret these signals, you risk confusion, frustration, and wasted energy. Understanding how she reacts gives you clarity. It shows you whether her interest was genuine, conditional, or somewhere in between. It also reflects her emotional awareness and how she handles shifts in attraction. More importantly, it highlights how your own behavior, your energy, attention, and consistency shapes the dynamic. What you do, what you show, and what you withhold can trigger profound responses, and recognizing this is key to navigating relationships effectively. Here's the challenge for men. Stay grounded, observe, and reflect. Don't chase, don't overreact. Use her responses as information, not validation. Learn from the patterns, evaluate her intentions, and ask yourself whether the connection aligns with your standards and needs. I want to hear from you. Share your experiences in the comments. How did a woman react when she realized your interest faded? What did you notice, and how did you handle it? I'll engage with your stories because learning from real-life experiences is the fastest way to sharpen your understanding. Remember, her reactions are a window into the emotional dynamics at play. By paying attention and responding wisely, you protect your energy, maintain self-respect, and position yourself as a man who understands attraction, boundaries, and human behavior on his own terms.